Hey Idahoans, I have something to tell you. I have a confession to make. In reviewing the events of the past few months, I have come to the realization that I made a major mistake, a huge error in judgment. For months now, at many of my campaign rallies, at my meet and greets, at press events, and even on multiple interviews, I made a claim that I now determined to be incorrect. Plainly stated, I was wrong. I told everyone that Governor Little made his COVID bed and now he's going to have to lay in it. I believed he was going to have to convince the people of Idaho that his COVID lockdowns and restrictions saved Idahoans. I believed that his campaign would be about how his decision to shut down businesses was right, and how his decision to stop churches from assembling was good, or how his restriction travel in Idaho was correct. Ultimately, how he saved Idahoans because of the hard COVID decisions he had to make were right and good. But I was wrong. I miscalculated those advising Governor Little. In fact, I misjudged Brad Little's integrity altogether because he's not claiming that what he did in 2020 was right. He's just flat out lying about it. Now, if you're questioning me, I want you to go with me to this document. This is a press release that Governor Little issued on March 8th, 2022. And it says several things in it. He kind of begins by saying, I kept Idaho open, banned vaccine mandates, never issued mandates for vaccines or masks. Now, most of you lived in Idaho during 2020, and you know that Governor Little did not keep Idaho open. Idaho was shut down. Businesses were closed. People and companies were classified as essential or non-essential. Gatherings and travel was restricted by Governor Little, including going to church. And the question remains, if Idaho was not shut down, then why were people arrested for going to the park or going to church? Why were moms arrested? Why were businesses raided by state police for not shutting down? All in Idaho. Why was this going on if Idaho was not locked down, according to Governor Little's last press release? Now, I have in my hand right here Idaho's order to self-isolate. It was issued on March 25th, 2020, the day Governor Little declared Idaho a state of extreme emergency. And it reads, if you go to the kind of the summary here, it reads, this order directs all individuals living in the state of Idaho to self-isolate at their place of residence. He's talking about you and I. He's saying, I'm ordering you to isolate at your house, at your place of residence. And then he says you could come out under these exceptions, except that they may leave to provide or receive certain essential services or engage in certain essential activities. So if we authorize it, then you can go out. It also directs all businesses to cease non-essential operations. So he's saying basically that we're going to basically say whether a business is essential or not, and if you're an essential business, then you can stay open. If you're a non-essential business, then you have to close. He goes on, prohibiting all non-essential gatherings of any number of individuals, including church. We know that because people were arrested for going to church. And finally, ordering the cessation of all non-essential travel. So you can't travel unless we give you permission. Now, this was going on. This is what his order actually says. This is what he is now denying that he did, that he locked down Idaho. But a little further proof would be this document here. Let's go here. If you look, this is Idaho, titled Idaho COVID-19, coronavirus.idaho.gov. And the very top it says, guidance for Governor Brad Little's statewide stay-at-home order. There it is, very clear. Brad Little's statewide stay-at-home order. And it says self-isolate. All residents of Idaho must self-isolate. Right? It goes on to say There's non-essential facilities that have to be closed, and the travel is limited, no gatherings, right? Here's another document from the Idaho governor's office. It has his letterhead on it titled Statewide Stay Home Order, and it's frequently asked questions. The very top says, Idaho Governor Brad Little and the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare issued a statewide stay-at-home order on Wednesday, March 25th for Idahoans. And if you go to the very back of this document, or actually in the middle of it, it says right here that it's a question someone asked. Who will enforce the order? And the answer from the governor's office is state and local law enforcement will enforce. So this is not just an order of suggestion. This was an order of enforcement. And he's locking down Idahoans in their place of residence, and he is actually calling on the law enforcement to enforce this order. Now, going on in this press release on March 8, 2020, Governor Little says this: the emergency declaration never violated or restricted any rights of Idahoans, never put Idaho on lockdown, and never allowed for mandates for masks or vaccines. These are the facts. Well, Governor Little, if this is true, then why did we have this going on? This is pastors in Idaho through organized church services being arrested by law enforcement in Idaho. And why are they arresting these good people for worshiping outside? Because Governor Brad Little, in his order, directed law enforcement to arrest them. So, my friends, this is the most egregious statement of all. For him to say that he didn't violate Idahoans' rights is just so egregious. And as mentioned, and I just showed you that Idahoans were arrested for having church. They were arrested for taking their children to the park. And they were prosecuted for keeping their businesses open. Others were arrested for peacefully attending public meetings without masks. What about the elimination of jury trials that went on for almost a year and a half? They didn't have jury trials. The classification of citizens and businesses as non-essential and essential. Many people lost their jobs because of the order, and pressures coming from the governor's office. There's pressure everywhere. These acts clearly violated at least the 1st, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and the 14th Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. So simply put, Idahoans' rights were violated because of Brad Little's orders. It's just simple. They were violated because of Brad Little's orders. And I just want to emphasize again, I go back to the self-isolation order, right? I go back to this. You'll see here that on page 9, and this is section 9, it says, again, just if there's any question, that basically that this order requests that sheriffs and chief of police in the state of Idaho and the Idaho State Police ensure compliance with and enforce this order. So this was not a suggestion. This was not just something that Governor Little was suggesting that we do. This was enforceable by arrests, by incarceration, by prosecution. And they certainly did use that all over Idaho. Now, the only thing Governor Little was truthful about in his March press release was about the reason he put Idaho under emergency control in the first place. That was the only thing that I could see in his press release that he was honest about. In fact, he said right here, he goes on in his order, he says, without the emergency declaration, we would not be able to provide historic tax relief. Without the emergency declaration, Idaho would not be the state with the strongest economy in the nation. Now, what is he saying here? Governor Little is basically fully admitting that the reason he put us under the emergency order was not for the health and safety of Idahoans, but so he could get billions of dollars from the federal government. And he did it for money. He is also admitting that Idaho's surplus is not because of a strong Idaho economy, but rather because Idaho receives so much federal COVID relief money that it looks like a surplus. That's clearly what he's saying. And in fact, you may have received some money from the Idaho government, from Governor Little, because he is now using this money, this COVID money, to send the people of Idaho a little bit of their quote unquote taxes back. And you may have received this letter. It's addressed from Governor Little, addressed to the people of Idaho, and it's from Governor Little. And it says, the economy of Idaho continues to blow past projections, and we are leading the country in economic prosperity. We achieved historic tax relief for Idahoans for the second year in a row. We are returning your tax dollars with our record budget surplus. Let's think about this a little bit. We know that Idaho did not have a surplus prior to 2020. And this newly claimed surplus certainly was not achieved during 2020 or early 2021, when Idaho's businesses were closed, schools were shut down, record amounts of people were out of work and stayed at home. So wouldn't it be an insult to the intelligence of the people of Idaho for Governor Brad Little to claim that a surplus came during the dark months of a pandemic? Wouldn't that be an insult? And in fact, let's look at it this way. If the breadwinner in a family stopped working for 9 months or more, meanwhile the cost of everything goes up, and then a few months later they claim they had more money than they ever had before, wouldn't that cause you to wonder what was really going on? How about this? What if a company shut down operations for months on end, paid their employees to stay home, continued to pay all their expenses, and had extremely low or no sales, and then issued a financial report that they had the best year they had ever had? Wouldn't that cause you to be skeptical? So simply put, there's just no ethical way that the Idaho government has had the 2 best years they had ever had. There's just no way. There's no way that a true surplus was created during the lockdowns during 2020 and 2021. And Idaho was just locked down, and Idahoans' rights were violated more than ever before. Governor Brad Little is not being honest with the people of Idaho. And there is so much going on inside the office of the governor that we need to be aware of. Now, just to clear up any question whether Governor Little is lying about lockdowns, let's go to Governor Little's official website. Let's go there. And I want to point out a few things. So if you look here, this is the official government website for the governor's Brad Little. And this is a Wednesday, March 25th, 2020 press release. And in it, it says, Governor Brad Little issued a statewide home order today. It's titled, Governor Little issues statewide stay-at-home order, signs extreme emergency declaration. If we look here, it says, I am following the guidance of our public health experts and issuing a statewide stay-at-home order effective immediately. Then it says, the stay-at-home order requires citizens to self-isolate at their home. This is a lockdown order. Plain and simple. Governor Little locked down the people of Idaho. Now he's claiming he did not. He did not create a surplus. He received billions of dollars, in fact, $18.7 billion from the federal government, and now he is trying to buy your vote with it. And I'm just asking you to consider the truth, consider the evidence, and do what your heart tells you to do, support what your heart tells you to support. And I want to thank you for your time.